Hello, everybody. My name is Benny, and welcome to the Fool's Apprentice. Today is another one card tarot study video, and I have a wonderful guest today. Please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie from Moonflower Moments. So I've been reading tarot for, I think I'm coming up right on 3 years, but I've been on TarotTube for probably about 5 months now. So you can follow me on TarotTube. My name is Moonflower Moments. You can also follow me on Instagram, and it's the same name, but it has the in front of it. So it's the Moonflower Moments.
Okay, I'll make sure to add that in the description below. And where are you located?
Oh, so I live in Louisiana. So I think we're pretty close to each other.
Oh, yeah, we are. We are. I'm in Texas. Okay, wonderful. So tell me, we are doing the Temperance card today. Which which Temperance card, like the Rider-Waite-Smith clone, do you have?
Oh, let's see if I can get, this
That's it.
lighting. Hold
That's
up.
it.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay, so I have the RWS Centennial.
oh my God. Yes, I'm getting to a point where I can recognize versions of the tarot.
Yeah.
That's it. I love that. You know, it's really interesting that as time goes on, you start to recognize, that's the first time I've like kind of recognized it without having to think what it is.
Most
So
definitely.
tell me what you think, or what the Temperance card means for you.
So I think that I have a little bit more of an unconventional relationship with temperance, which is why I wanted to talk about it. It is my favorite card.
It's your favorite?
So, oh yeah, without a doubt, it's my
Oh,
favorite, and I feel like people don't recognize, or often maybe they recognize, but they don't oftentimes see how it fits within the larger fool's journey, which is really one of the ways that I interpret it. So when I was doing my research for this video, you come across like the basic keywords such as moderation, compromise, blending, balance, harmony, healing. And
yep.
I think all of those can be very true if we're pulling cards for the day-to-day basis. And there's nothing wrong with pulling cards for the day-to-day basis. I would say that's mostly how most of us use our cards. So when temperance comes up, just on a daily route, I do see it as like moderation and taking your time to just embrace the serenity of what's around you, since it is a very serene environment, and finding that center. However, I do like to bring in oftentimes where it falls on the fool's journey. So because temperance is right after death and it's right before the devil, I oftentimes see it as the card that's stuck between land and stuck between water. So of course, because the figure is between land and between water, it's the part of yourself that after your body has died is still trying to hold on to that physical manifestation. It's trying to hold on to that land, but at the same time your spirit is trying to dive into the pool below. So it's hard for me to kind of come up with a keyword in that kind of sense, because to me it describes that process of being in that kind of stasis point, the in between place, that liminal space.
Okay. That is amazing. 3 years. I try. One of the things I am trying to is I'm trying to remember the cards on the side. So I love that you did that because I'm still not there yet. And so this does have like balance, but for me, it's like this balance of your internal world and your external world. It's like
Mhm.
not allowing the external world to kind of throw you into chaos.
Mhm.
In my studies, I have found that the foot in the water deals with like the subconscious, what's going on within. The
Mhm.
foot on the ground is like the material world, what's happening here on earth. So I kind of think of it in that way as well.
Yeah.
And then the water's pouring back and forth is not allow, it's keeping that balance, and really being very. Sometimes I think that the temperance card for me, there's a lot of purposeful decision making that occurs, like really catching yourself when you're, let's say emotionally out of control, like all of a
Yeah.
sudden a bad mood and you're like snapping at everybody. And then you're having to make the conscious decision. And this is what I say. I think of the temperance card
Yeah.
is I think don't make your bad mood anybody else's problem.
Most definitely. And it's almost like a little guardian angel that's trying
Yeah.
to, the angel one shoulder, the devil on the other. And
Oh,
that
I
kind of
love
sense of,
that.
the guardian angel is trying to remind you to not act too hastily, to take that time to find that serene place before you act.
Yes. Now, somebody talked about this card in the sense of patience. And so I've been pondering that. And I struggle because I like the idea of temperance including patience, but I'm still not necessarily getting that. And I was curious to ask you that. So, do you have
Yeah.
any ideas with that or not really? I don't mean to put you on the
No, you're good. I think it's good to ask questions because it helps me to be more introspective about my process. I think I can see it as patience to a certain extent because there's not a lot of movement that's happening with the angel. Everything is kind of moving internally because I really do have to kind of bring up the pool because I like what you said earlier about the pool representing the subconscious. I totally agree with it. And I definitely see that like our role as the fool is we're after death we are rejoining the collective unconscious. We're rejoining that pool that's underneath everybody, which is kind of symbolic of like everybody's souls, which is, just reflective of my spiritual belief and the second half of the major arcana overall. So if we're rejoining everyone else, there's not a lot of necessarily like outward movement. So I guess in that way it can denote patience for me because you have to kind of be willing to go with the process. You have to be patient with the process of letting go of your physical body and kind of moving forward into the next step, into the next kind of form of enlightenment. That's how I would see it.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to watch this back again because that was really good. Okay, because when I read something or I hear something, I really try to think about it. And patience has been one that I've been struggling. Another thing that I'm learning is that I don't know why I didn't make this correlation that because of the cups, waters represent emotions throughout the major arcana.
Mhm.
And so when I I think I read that, um, all of a sudden this card really resonated with emotions and how we're
Yeah.
supposed to keep those in balance. And I think of like relationships because relationships have a very powerful force within us emotionally. I mean, we sometimes make very irrational decisions we would never make in our like rational selves. Um,
Yeah.
like it, falling into a relationship and moving in within a week with somebody
Yeah.
because you're madly in love, which in my youth I did.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of that. Probably not the best decision in my life. Um,
Yeah.
but for me, as of right now, this card, it resonates mostly with emotions and
I love that.
about how you're going to keep that in balance. And that includes with anything. I have this huge presentation that I'm going to be doing in 2 weeks. I don't feel prepared,
Mhm.
even though I'm doing all the work. It's in front of
Yeah.
a lot of my colleagues, and I'm having to work really hard to get grounded, get very present, so my nervousness doesn't feel overwhelming and turn into anxiety. So,
Yeah.
you know, I just had an idea. Maybe I'll take the temperance card with me and keep it in my.
Yeah. Well, and I like how you said that. So I have two things to say in regards to that, how it's in relation to balance, especially in the emotional atmosphere for you, because this is a fire card, right? Like it's the Sagittarius card, if I'm not incorrect. So I love that concept of like fire, the opposite of fire is, of course, water. So they kind of neutralize each other. So there is that sense of balance and kind of when you're in those hasty relationships where you're moving too fast or your temper is very fiery, you can remember that you have water and you have the ability to kind of like neutralize that and calm down and find your center. So I think that that would be a great card for you to bring in that sense. In addition to, because like we have one foot on water, but we have one foot on land. And that really is the most important part of the card for me because like you're grounded, but you also have one foot under the water. So it means you're trusting your intuition as you're giving this presentation that whatever comes to mind is what you need to say.
I love that. I love that a lot.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the symbols, do you use symbology in these cards?
Without a doubt. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
I kind of
Yes,
figured you probably did.
yeah, I don't use symbology all the time in all the cards, but this one, because I am from Louisiana, we have a lot of irises. And so the irises in this card, what this card brings to mind in particular for me is like irises bloom in the spring. So the fact that we have irises that are blooming on this card is just so deeply symbolic for me, because your body has died with the death card. So now you're moving into this new phase of your life. And so it's almost as if the irises are symbolizing that springtime. You know, like we've ended our physical manifestation, our energy is being converted into something else, and the irises are blooming to show that there's a lot of hope and a lot of potential for what moves forward. So I
Telling
love
me,
it.
wow. I haven't even gotten to the irises.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I'm not,
beautiful. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
if a card has natural imagery, like that's where I'm going. Like the only way I can use the crow tarot is when I bring in the botanicals in it. So I think that's just where my mind goes automatically with them.
We're gonna have to have a conversation after this video. I have so many questions. Any other symbology that you use in here?
We had talked about like the foot being on land and then also on water. I do want to bring up that for me, I love the fact that the white robe can represent, like, it's kind of genderless in that kind of way. And so I know that in the pictorial key, one look, I'm just casually referencing that. I went back to my notes last night. I cannot usually casually reference the pictorial key, but they mention that the figure is neither male nor female, and I really love that, because I am a strong believer in the fact that, you know, after we die, like the the energy is kind of, it rejoins the pool of the rest of the energy, I guess is how I would say it. So it makes sense that we would kind of be genderless. So I kind of see the angel and the fact that he's genderless in that kind of way as kind of what we're going to become when we enter with the rest of the souls, and we are within that pool of the unconsciousness. I think that we've left behind our identities. And so it's almost as if he's kind of like a gatekeeper or a guardian, letting us know, hey, this is what's coming for you. You still have to, quote unquote, battle the devil in the next part. You're not completely away from that physical world, but eventually you will come together with other souls and just be part of that substance and that essence. It's hard to talk about it, right, with the language, because it gets like pretty spiritual when you bring it in that way. But I do bring in the fact that the angel is genderless in that
Yeah,
way.
yes. Also, with my studies, and for me, that's also this another form of balance. You know, it's not male
Mm,
or female, but it is, you know, a being. And so that's another form of balance. You know, also the angel kind of represents, you know, making sure that you're always doing the right thing, you know, because if you're doing the
yeah,
right thing, your life will be balanced. So, um, and also, like, when you do the right thing, you sleep well at night. So you're not thrown off balance by tossing and turning, having regret, feeling really bad about
yeah,
yourself because of what you did. So that also reminds me that when you're doing the next right thing, that your life generally will stay in balance. Um,
yeah,
now, like the road. Now, the road really for me is like this long journey that you're going to take. Uh,
yeah.
no, I did read in Rachel Pollack's, and it's why I remember certain things, I don't know. But she talks about it being the road where you come back to yourself, which I thought was
Mm,
interesting. But I find that, you know, uh, it's just this life journey that you're going to take. And for me, it's a reminder that, you know, whatever happens today is going to follow you as you go through life.
yeah, that's beautiful. And
Yeah.
I noticed too that like the mountains definitely remind me of the imagery that's in the moon card too. So it is that symbol of you still have a lot more left to go,
Mhm.
right? So much more left to go. But so I think too, I also take in a little bit of numerology with it as well, because you
Oh,
know 1 plus 5 equals one plus 4 equals 5. So I think about like, if two means stillness, right? Two means duality, it means stillness. There's not a lot of movement coming. That perfectly describes what's happening in this card. It is a card of stillness, it's a card of serenity, it's a card of breathing before you carry on with your next journey. But at the same time, we also have three, and three denotes like movement, right? Because we are reaching for the next thing, just like three is. So I think it's a great reminder also of that kind of symbolic element as well, of we're at this stasis point but we know that we have so much growth left to do. Just like what you had said with the road, is that we still have to keep the momentum up and still expand onto new horizons.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Now tell me, what is your favorite temperance card?
Oh, I love it. I had a hard time picking this because
Because it's your favorite card.
I had a very hard time picking this, but I did end up picking Naturescapes. Here we go. Wait,
Oh,
am I in?
interesting. I
There we go.
never would have guessed that anybody would pick like a scene.
Yeah. So this one is the closest representation to what temperance means to me, because we have this daylight that is coming through. Oh, I'm trying to make sure I stay in frame. There we go. We have this daylight that's coming through here with the sunlight.
Hmm.
And so we have the clouds. So it's almost as if after you've experienced that physical death and the death card, this the sky is not completely shiny. We still have the devil card to go. We still have the tower card to go, but there's a little bit of hope that's attached. I'm having the hardest time staying in frame. There we go. We still have a little bit of hope that's attached with the sunrise. And then the sunrise is to mean like a new beginning. So I think it reminds me of the irises in that way. But it's kind of beautiful because you can see that we have like a waterfall
Hmm.
right there.
Yeah.
So the water is cruising over these cliffs, but the cliffs look like really sharp and really pointy. So it's almost as if the cliff can still be holding you back. You're the water, you're the substance that's trying to rejoin the rest of the souls. And so it's like there's still that part of you, that one foot on earth that's being held back, but you have a lot of movement, and you're moving towards rejoining just that pool of souls.
Very nice. Very nice. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have like a favorite temperance card. In fact,
Yeah.
just so y'all know, I was actually looking through some decks before because I was like, I don't really have one. But one that
Yeah.
did strike us, and I like it because I think it's so beautiful. Is and funny because you had mentioned this deck with me is the Temperance for the Labanco.
Yeah.
It's just really, really beautiful. I just like the imagery quite a bit.
Is that a
Uh,
tree behind there?
yes, yes. So it's really interesting
Oh,
because if you look at the pool of water, it looks like it goes right into the tree because
yes.
because she is blocking your view from where the tree begins and the water ends.
Yeah.
So it looks like all in one. Um, and so I just think it's really, really beautiful. And if you also notice, uh, the cup of water coming from her head.
Hmm. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I see that.
the internal part of, and these aren't traditional chalices either. They're very, very interesting. But I just think it's a beautiful card. I don't necessarily, for me, have like any particular reason why I like it other than it's pretty. Like I said, I don't necessarily have a favorite temperance card for me, but I just find it
Yeah.
visually striking. And I mean, it's hard not to like the Lamanco Tarot is absolutely gorgeous.
I
Um,
like how she's moving forward too. Like her body is positioned in a way that it's moving forward. It does kind of give a sense of like momentum that you don't typically see in Temperance.
yeah, she's very, very stunning.
Yeah, she is.
You know, and it's almost as if she's out of balance in this one.
Yeah.
It feels almost like a shadow card.
Yes.
It feels a little bit, it feels like a reverse card, like if you read the Temperance in reverse. Uh,
Yes.
and any parting words about the Temperance card?
I think that it is I think it's one of the most spiritual cards in this deck, is what I would say. If I'm allowed to make that claim,
Yeah, no,
because
no.
I think it is a card that can represent the daily life in a really beautiful capacity, like we were saying about kind of tempering your emotions with what you had said about the presentation. But I think overall, it represents hope for what we can hope can happen after we leave this particular like physical manifestation. So it always brings to mind to me the future and what comes after this. And I think that's why I'm so enamored with it, because like it's hard to find a good temperance card, because I think very often we're looking for the cards that are all like just beautiful, and they have all of these different symbols, and it's easy to find like a beautiful empress because she's so outward showing.
Hmm.
Temperance is a hard card to find a beautiful card for, or a card that really represents what it means, because the focus isn't necessarily about you as an individual anymore. It's about how you are connecting and integrating with others. And that's a difficult thing to depict in our like very individualistic society. So I think for me, it just it's the most versatile of all cards in the way that it can represent the everyday, but it can represent that future hope as well.
I love that. For me, just the last parting words as you were sharing, I started to think, is this card for me is really about the potential serenity in your life. Uh,
Love it.
if you can really maintain an emotional balance, because that's where for me, that's where it is right now.
Yeah.
You can have a very serene life. Life doesn't have to feel so chaotic, doesn't have to feel so overwhelming. But it's work. This card is really a reminder of like, you know, when this card comes up for me, it's a reminder for me to look at all those things that are stressing me out and find out
Yeah.
that I need to find the balance in. Oh my God, I almost forgot. I'm glad I
Yeah.
didn't. So wait, one more thing. Do you read the reversal of this? Any
I
reversals?
do.
Oh, come
I
on,
do.
please
And
share.
I do. And when I read the reversal of it, it's like it's like it's kind of like similar to how I read the reverse judgment, I guess. It's when someone is feeling like reluctance to move forward in a way that's like a higher calling to them. Because I see the temperance as a card that like represents where we're at that liminal space, we're at that stage where we're about to bump up to the last few cards in the tarot. When it's reversed for me, it signifies that we're trying too hard to hold on to like the physical land, and we really just need to kind of take a step back and tune into our emotions and tune into our intuition and tune into our spirituality. So I do read it reversed in that way. I could also read it reversed in the sense of like someone being like really sick, because like I think that all of us as people, like we're part earth and we're also part water in that way. Like we have a body, but we also have the spirituality, the spirit itself, the soul in itself. So if someone is like really sick, I could see that this card would come up reverse to let people know like, hey, your body is not in tune with your spirit, or perhaps your body is really unwell. So I could see it in both kind of a practical way, and then also a larger way as well.
I I think the takeaway for me in that, because it stuck out so strong, was when you said you're trying to hold on too hard or you're holding on too.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't really have like big reversal meaning for it. The very simple thing is like you're unbalanced. That,
Yeah.
that's so simple. But that's where I'm
But
at.
it's the starting point for everything.
Yes, but for me, if I did the reversal, it is like more of a warning sign of
Yeah.
being very mindful where you are in your life. And oh, so it has three symbols. It has the circle, the triangle, and the square. Oh my God, I'm so
Yep.
glad I remember this. So what body, mind, and spirit. And so like when one of them's off, all of them are
Oh,
off. I mean,
I
so
didn't
when
know that's what that meant.
I read that somewhere. And so that just stuck with me. What also stuck with me, it's funny how like things are coming. It's so when one of them is off, the other tends to go off. So like if you're paying too much on the spiritual, the other two will go off kilter. If you're paying too much on your physical, everything else will go off. So it's trying to keep those in.
Yeah.
So maybe if the reversal is like, okay, you're paying too much attention to one thing and you're neglecting other things in your life that you need to be working on as well. So,
That totally makes sense. And I was looking at those symbols before we started, and I was like, dang, I should have looked him up. So I'm happy you did.
all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Oh my God, I learned a lot today. I'm sure some
Oh,
of our
thank
viewers
you.
really got a lot of that as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And until next time. time, everybody. My name is Benny, and I am the Fool's Apprentice. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.